Hi, hello student. Let's discuss on the quant and related models of anti-money laundering and the CTF models. So in I'll create end-to-end journey, entire journey for that. We don't have the live transactions, so I'll create the transactions in Python and I'll explain you that thing. So what my approach or what your approach to create the models in AML and the CFTs. So let's start these slides detail. So it's just a overview slide, guys. More on that, I'll create in detail flow the related to the data creation. I'll show you the Python code for the data creation and explain you entire code, and then upload the that data is which I created in the Excel. I'll extract in the Excel and upload that data in the SQL, Oracle SQL, and then write down the SQL query to pass the data from the database. Okay, and then upload that data again the Python, and then use the AIML technique to to predict the transactions for the anti-money laundering and CTF, identify these transactions, and then upload after doing that thing, then upload these data in the SQL and to create the dashboards. So this is entire journey. I'll explain you entire thing. So let's start one by one. So the project overview. The objective of to build this project for you to build and evaluate and anti-money laundering and CFT models from the scratch. From zero we will create this model and do the back testing, scenario analysis, stress testing on that model. I'll send you the entire document in the link, so please download and do the testing or to verify the model at your end, and also attach my github link where I can attach all the documents related to this. So the scope of this entire the project or journey is to synthetic data simulation, and I will explain you to the end-to-end vision and simulate the transaction and analyze the financial crime, visualize the present findings, how I'll finding, and then SQL integration we will do, and then we will data model development, model evaluation, then highlight a cross domain integration like Python. I'll explain you the SQL, Tableau, documentation, how to create the documentation and how to communicate with the stakeholder, to understand their requirements. So stakeholder communication part is there, and then OMR or ongoing model reviewing document and client reporting document I'll create, and I'll also include the flowcharts of entire my journey. So that is in the this project overview. So let's move on. The next is a data creation in Python. So I already mentioned you, we will create a synthetic data creation. We will do the synthetic data creation to purpose of to creating the entire that project. So randomly we will create the data. So in that to the simultaneously financing transaction we will use a pandas, numpy, random method to simulate the realistic transaction data to create the realistic transaction data, and general the and we will create the datas like the amount, location, frequency, quarter, risk score, transaction ID. Okay, so all these things fields we are created data and to fill in that data and extracted that data or exported this data in a Excel for flexibility and transfer to other tools like Python or like SQL or the Tableaus to work on that tools. So this I'll do for you, and then we will use the Python and the Excel for this thing. So let's move on the next slide. So that's the data integration and the query writing for the SQL integration and the query writing. So in that slide, I'll write down the SQL query and explain you that entire SQL query, how it functions, what data it should extract state. So that thing we will do, and importing the synthetic data from Excel to SQL, how we add the data we are generated in the synthetic data that add into the SQL with you upload for the Excel file, write the query for flag risky transaction based on the rule based logic whichever is, and then the and then extended the logic with frequency and a risk score to build that logic and show the visual comparison flag across the quarters. So these all things we will do in the Excel. So like amount is more than the 5,000 rupees, or the locations like Dubai and Singapore, frequency their score, frequency of transactions. So we will do entire thing and I'll explain you related to you the SQL query. So let's move on the next slide. That is the a anti-money laundering and CFT model building, where we are actually creating the models, training the models and test the model. So in this where we are split the data into the 80/20 for methods. So where 80% data we will use the training, and the 20% data we will test or validate the models, predictions or the model performance. So in that we use the the machine learning technique like logistic regression, random forest. So to do the to predict the fraudulent transactions. So and then we evaluate the performance using ROC curve, confusion matrix, precision, recall. So these matrices we use to do the performance evaluation. Accuracy we will do, confusion matrix we will do, to use these tools to evaluate and validate the performance of the matrix. And then once that is done, then we will do the stress testing. Okay, and we in that stress testing we are doing the synthetic scenarios and the hypothetical scenarios or the historical scenarios to create such scenarios, and then to test that model against the performance of these scenarios or the condition. And then we will do the back testing using the historical trends or the historical data, and I did predict how this model will perform and how it will perform in the historical, and we know the historical output. So that's we will do. And the tools or the technique we will use entire this thing is the scikit-learn, matplotlib, pandas, numpy, seaborn. Okay, and these sklearn, these all these tools, these are the libraries in Python. So these we are using for doing these the anti-money laundering and the CFT model building, model valuation, model testing things. Okay, let's move on the next slide. Then we will do the scenario analysis, stress testing, back testing, model rebootness and validation. So where we detail the extreme conditions for flag transactions, sudden spike in the score, sudden decrease or increase in the score. We will do the perform trace testing by injecting the anomalies to different anomalies, backtest model on procedure historical data for Q1, quarter 1, quarter 2, analyze the model performance, show before and after performance of the matrix, how it will perform to implement that things. And then we will move on the next slide. That is a Tableau dashboard. So we will use the Tableau dashboard for the risks, visualize the risks with Tableaus. So where we upload the process data to Tableau in Excel or the Python or the SQL to upload this data to predict, the to do the value visualization of the data. So flag transaction trade charts, risk heat map, location KPI card, quarter wise we will do. Then create the dashboard showing the flag transactions, heat map and KPI summaries. Enable the filter for quarter, location and risk thread, and include the the screenshot and all these things. For these slide we will use a tool like Tableau to complete to the dashboards to create for these the predictions. So let's move on the next slide. That is the OMR, ongoing model review report, and the model governance. We will do entire thing in that. We will create and summarize the model performance matrix threshold, detect the breaches, document inline monitoring result and escalation protocols, create a remediation plan as per the JD or the as per the projects or as per the Quant Analyst will work on the AML and CFT, and then we will do the model assumptions threshold. We will create ad and the trend analysis, breach identification and remediations, document inline monitoring result and escalation flows. And then we will use the tools like the Word, PowerPoint, okay, to we will reference the compliances to create OMR documentation from framework is use the AML and CFT standard, financial action task force regulations and internal controls we will do in these things. So let's move on the next slide, that is a client presentation and insight storytelling or the insight. So it's an very important topic where we are actually do demo or actually to give the outputs or explain the ongoing model review report to the client. So handling the analytics and business decisions to the client. So we will present the result, insights and improvement area to hypothetical stakeholder, and use the storytelling to explain the complex concept clearly, highlight how your quant approach align with business values, include a few bullet points and visual your report to the client's model approach, matrix behavior, impact of risks, and address the client query and enhancement is there, new systems will get, and explain that entire features to the client, so client will aware these things. Then from this entire course or what I'll teach you, so what thing you learn from this course. So this projects is taught you the value of domain knowledge in the financial crime analytics, how that domain will work, what are the factors impacted on that domain, and it is the importance for data integrity and design. And it is give you the important of end-to-end pipeline mastery for coding to visualizations. You understand the coding part, visualization part, building a model that interpreted scalable, and then communication has a key translating model output into the impactful narrative, and the ads icon and visual skill for SQL, Python, Tableau reporting, how the regulation shapes analytics workflow, bringing business logic with the technical rigor. So all these things we learn from these projects. And then let's discuss on the what is the next. Okay, so for that, the future goal, what you are the future goal, what we are going to learn. So that's all these things we learn from that. So then we'll discuss on the what's next to explore the advanced neural language process and suspicious transaction nodes, how to identify the suspicious transaction, to use the different AIML techniques, optimize the model, ensemble techniques, or the supervised and supervised, semi-supervised deep learning techniques to do the model optimization, to evaluate the model, study the real case studies in AML, anti-money laundering, contribute open source AML libraries. So these all things we will do. And if you like my videos, if you like my entire journey which I'll explain you in the future, so please like, and if you want to interest that journey into understand that journey, so please like and subscribe my channel, do comments if you have any open points, so please suggest me. Thanks guys for attending this session.